Good afternoon, class. This is Mr. Cook, and for today's flipped classroom homework assignment, I will be teaching you guys about line length and meter and their significance in a poem, and how to properly utilize it and its properties in a poem. I will demonstrate actually how to understand line and meter and provide examples of them used in different types of poems. And today, specifically for your homework assignment, I want you guys to learn how to write a limerick, and I will be teaching you exactly what goes into writing a limerick. So, first off, poetry is comprised of meters and lines. And we call them meters because lines of poetry are actually measured in feet. So, a single foot is made of one stressed and unstressed syllable, which could be any word, in your poem. So one stressed or unstressed syllable in a word makes up 1 foot. So one word, it has to be more than one word because one word wouldn't make up a foot. You have to have multiple words to make up multiple feet. So the type of stressed syllables that you can have with your words to make up different types of feet are an I am, a trochee, an anapest, a dactyl, and a spondee. Each of these actually describe the different types of stressed and unstressed syllables that your words will make up. And if you have these types of feet in your poem, this will give the type of line length that your poem is made out of. So an I am is equal to one unstressed and stressed word. So remember, you have to have 2 of these to make at least 1 foot. So an unstressed, stressed syllable word like away. Now, is the unstressed syllable, and then way is the stressed syllable. So that makes it an I am, away. And then a trochee is a stressed and unstressed syllable word, such as lovely. La, and then love, and then lee. The underlined part is the stressed part, and then the ununderlined part is the unstressed part of the word. So that's what makes it stressed and unstressed. Lovely. And then for an I am, away, unstressed and then stressed. And then for an anapest, it's 2 unstressed syllables followed by 1 stressed syllable word, followed by 1 stressed syllable in the word. So, understand would be an example of anapest. Understand. Stand would be the stressed part of the word, so that makes it an anapest because this is the syllable makeup of the word. 2 unstressed sounds and a stressed sound. And then a dactyl is a stressed sound at the beginning of the word, and then 2 unstressed syllables. So an example of that would be desperate. The first part of the word is stressed, des-perate. And then the second part is unstressed. And then for lastly, the spondee is made up of 2 stressed syllables back to back. So it'd usually be 2 separate words because that would be the best way to make 2 stressed syllables back to back. So take dead set, for example, 2 separate words, but they're 2 stressed syllables in a row. So dead set. Now remember, the amount of iams you have in one line is the amount of feet you have. So let's say you have 3 iams, 3 iambic words. that makes your line have 3 IAMs. So that would make it a trimeter. So we'll get into that later because that is the line length. So remember, the amount of these you have in your poem is the amount of feet you have in your poem. So you have 5 of these, that means you have 5 feet. You have 5 spondees, you have 5 feet. You have 4 trochees, you have 4 feet in your poem. And these are made up to equal meters. So now line length is a little bit different because the line, keep this in mind, the line is actually measured by how many feet it has. So those words we just talked about, IAMs, trochees, etc., those by themselves are foot. So the amount of those equals the amount of feet. So a line specifically is measured by how many feet are in that line. How many feet are in a line. So, like I was saying earlier, if your line has 3 IAMs, those are those unstressed stress syllables away. 3 IAMs would make it a line of 3 feet. Because each one of these syllable words, IAMs, trochees, spondees, dactyls, etc., those equal 1 foot. So multiple of them equal feet, which is why you can't just have 1. That's why you have to have 2 or more. So this would make your poem 3 feet. So an example of 3 IAMs in a foot, 3 IAMs in a line, would be if she should write a note. Now these are separate words, so the words themselves aren't stressed, but the syllable and the way you read it are. So she, write, and note are all stressed. So an IAM is unstressed and then stressed syllables. So if she should write a note, if she should write a note, these underlined words are the stressed words in the IAM. But the first words before them are unstressed. So that's what makes it an IAM. Now, in terms of the amount of feet in your line, that's what determines the type of line length of your poem you're writing. So for this example, 3 of these would be a trimeter. So remember, you have to have at least more than 1 IAM for you to actually have a proper line. And so you can have any of these type of syllable words, IAMs, dactyls, spondees, etc., to make up your meter. So one of these, just having a line with 1 unstressed or stressed word combination, would be a monometer. And that equals only 1 foot. So if I were to take just if she out of this iambic trimeter, if I were to just take this, that would equal a monometer. Because 1 IAM is 1 foot. Now you have to have 2 words to equal 1 IAM. So these 2 words is equivalent to 1 foot because it's only 1 IAM. So that equals 1 monometer. If you were to just have this, if she, that's 1 monometer. If she should write a note, that's a trimeter. So a dimeter is having 2 feet in your line. So if we were to add this, if she should write, that makes it 2 feet. And then as I was saying before, a trimeter would be to include all 3 of these. So a tetrameter would be 4 feet. A pentameter would be 5 feet. And a hexameter would be 6 feet. Now, typically, poems don't go over a hexameter because after that, you're not really following a syllable rhythm pattern. After 6, you're not really following a syllable rhythm pattern, so it stops at hexameters. So, an example of a pentameter, a poem that contains 5 feet in a line. Remember, all these number of feet just make up one single line in your poem, which is why one line length is measured by how many feet are in one line. So however many of these you have in one line, that determines your line length. So we're going to give you an example of an iambic pentameter. Now remember, the iambic is the part that represents the syllable and stressed words, the stressed words that create the syllables in the word. And the pentameter determines however many iambs you actually have in your line, which I said before equals 5. So this is how many iambs are in the line. That makes up the pentameter. So that equals, an iambic pentameter equals 10 syllables altogether that are unstressed and stressed. So every syllable in your poem, because it's an iambic pentameter, it would be unstressed and stressed. And this goes for whatever syllable combination of words you're using. So for an iambic particularly, it'd be unstressed and stressed. So take for example, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? That, as short as it seems, is an iambic pentameter because you have the stressed, you have the unstressed, and then stressed syllables. So, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Now we'll go ahead and split that in half. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? If you split that up, unstressed, stressed, and compare, COM is unstressed, so compare, stressed, V2, unstressed, stressed, a sum, unstressed, stressed, MERS day, unstressed, stressed. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? That equals an iambic pentameter because there's five iambs in your line, and that makes up the meter, which is 5. So that's how you get pentameter, and the iamb represents the type of syllables you're using.